Welcome back to part 2 of the video series on leadership theories. This is unit 9 of your management process and organizational behavior chapter. We have discussed in the earlier part that leadership is in such a crisis in the entire world. We do not have good leaders. We have good bosses. We have too many managers. We have too many bosses, but too few leaders. Leadership is very, very essential for the growth of any particular company, for governments, and for the society. It can really mean a lot if we can have good leaders, and that is why this course is very, very important for all you budding managers. Now we'll be covering behavioral theory and the modern theories that were developed from the 1940 onwards till date in this particular video. Now behavioral theory was given in the 1940s and 1950s. This theory was basically talking about that some of the traits inside of a particular person can be of good leadership, but unless the person behaves or acts in a particular way in accordance with his traits, then he cannot be considered a good leader. A good leader has to behave in a particular good way. Only then his particular behavior will be considered a good leader behavior. Examples of good behavior would be an autocratic style of functioning, a democratic style of functioning, a laissez-faire kind of functioning. There were various studies which were done during the 1940s and 1950s at the University of Iowa, at Michigan, and at Ohio State University. And basis of that, various behavioral theories were propounded during this particular period, 1940s, 1950s, 1960s. We'll be doing it one by one. Kurt Levin's Iowa studies basically defined the behavior of leaders into 4 parameters. First one was autocratic. Autocratic is somebody who takes centralized decision. He believes in keeping control with himself. He dictates work. He limits participation. He does not want the participation of everybody. And this particular kind of autocratic leadership is suited where the workers are not very good educated. They do not have the technical expertise, and they just need to be shown the right path through centralized authority, through dictation. They are not good to take their own decisions. Then autocratic kind of behavior is good for leadership. Kurt Levin's second theory was about democratic leadership, wherein more and more employees were involved in the particular business, day-to-day affairs of the particular business. Democratic behavior was basically when the managers or the leaders used to delegate and make maximum participation from these workers. Democratic can be broken into 2 different pieces. One is democratic consultative, where the leader consults but the final decision is taken by the leader himself. And democratic participative, wherein he allows the employees to put in their suggestions, and their suggestions also sometimes can be taken and permanently implemented. So these are 2 kinds of democratic leadership styles, behavior styles. And the last one is laissez-faire, wherein the leader gives complete freedom to everybody in the company for free decision making. So this was Kurt Levin's Iowa studies. He did these studies, that these are the behaviors in which a particular leader can behave. Moving on, we had the Ohio State leadership studies. University of Ohio that did some studies. In their studies, they found out that leaders, the good leaders who they work on, depend on 2 different concepts. The first one is the initiating structure. If a leader is given a particular job, if he tries to initiate a particular structure, if he is very structured, very organized in the way in which his relationship is, in which the company is, then that is a initiating structure inside of the particular company. Many of the leaders behave with initiating structure. They initiate a particular structure and then they do a work. While there are leaders who do not initiate any structure, they are very haphazard in their work, and that is, they can achieve results even without the structure. The second part was consideration. Many of the leaders had consideration for the employees, and many of the leaders had consideration for the production and production only. They were not considered about the good relations that they can be having with the employees. And because of the good relation that they can have with the employees or do not have with the employees, the production could suffer or could not suffer. So these were various parameters on which the Ohio State leadership studies made the final decisions. Now this was the graph that was given by Ohio State leadership studies. On the left hand side you find, on the x-axis you find leader initiating structure, means he is very much structured in way It can be either high, either his structuring thing would be high or low, and leader's consideration for people can be high and low once again on the left hand side. It can be low, meaning if he is not concerned about the people, he is not concerned about the workers of the company, and if it is high, leader's consideration for people is high, it will be in high respect for the having high respect for the workers and for the employees. So basis of this, there are various leadership behaviors that the particular leader can be behaving in. So just look at the right hand side corner behavior. When the leader's consideration is low and the leader's initiating structure is low, so he is in this kind of a situation, the behavior, because of the behavior of the particular leader, because his initiating structure is not initiating any structure over there, and he is not concerned about the people also. In that case, what will be the growth result? It will be low in performance. The company will be in low in performance. There will be a high grievance rate because he is not having any consideration for his employees. The employees will have a lot of grievances against the management, against the leader, and there will be a high turnover. People will be leaving the job and going away to joining different companies. Now imagine the opposite of that, the high particular section on the left hand side topmost corner. Leader consideration is high for people, and leaders is very structured in the way in which he functions. What will happen in this particular case? Both are high. In that case, there will be a high performance, the numbers will be good, the financials will be good, there will be a low grievance rate, and there will be a low turnover. People will not be leaving the job. So these are the various 4 combinations which Ohio State leadership said, because of the leader's behavior of having high consideration or high initiating structure, there can be 4 combinations possible of the leader behavior, and this can have various impacts. Then we move on to Michigan studies. Michigan studies basically focused on 2 kinds of leadership. One was employee oriented, one which had good relations, a leader having good employee relations with the particular employees of the company, or a leader who is totally concerned about production and nothing else. He's not concerned about employees, he's just concerned about the task at hand, the production at hand. So these are the 2 parameters on which Michigan studies made their entire study. Now if the person is having more control over things, he will be closely supervising thing. If a leader wants more control, he will be, if he is totally task oriented, if he is totally production oriented, look at the left hand side, he will be closely supervising thing. And if he is more employee centered, if he is more employee involved, he will be totally giving the free reins to the employee, so that the employees can work on their own and participate more, and it will be a totally democratic setup. So these are 2 extreme ends of Michigan studies. Either if the leader is totally focused on the production, he will be closely supervising everything, or if he's totally towards the employee side, he will be giving it totally free rein to the employees. Other 2 options in between are job centeredness and employee orientedness. So these are 2 middle of the road options which are also available in Michigan studies. Michigan studies also led to the formation of other studies, which is leadership continuum and managerial grade. It was based on these 2 concepts only. Now leadership continuum is very important to understand. If you look at it, imagine the left hand side bold line which starts from the left hand side to and it goes to the right hand side. Imagine a manager who enters a particular company, and what will happen if a manager has entered that particular company in the initial years. In the initial years, he will not be given a lot of freedom. His freedom will be limited. Look at the bottom side of this particular graph. Below the bold line, look at the bottom side. The area of freedom for his particular company will be very less. And the authority of the manager, because he is a new employee, the authority of the manager will be very high. Look at the top of this particular graph. And as the manager keeps on progressing in the company, he will keep on getting more and more freedom, and the authority of his bosses will keep on declining. As he spends 2 years, as he spends 3 years, so there is a continuum of leadership. So as a company, as employee inside of a company keeps on aging, as his number of years increase in his particular company, and he assumes more and more challenges, more and more responsibilities, his area of freedom will keep on increasing, and the authority of the managers on this particular employee or leader will keep on decreasing. So that is the leadership continuum theory for you, that the area of freedom will keep on increasing over time and the area of authority will keep on declining over time. That is leadership continuum for you. Michigan studies also led to the University of Michigan also led to the formation of Blake Mouton's managerial grid, and we'll be doing this particular Blake Mouton's managerial grid in the next part of this video, because again we are exceeding the limit of 10 minutes. So we'll be doing this particular video in the next part. Stay with me. Thank you.